Aloha. With this video, I wanted to review another Joe Rogan, one of his latest attempts at discrediting flat earthers, one of his videos. And just to reiterate for this situation for people, I'm not doing this because I have anything personal against Joe Rogan. My thing is what his consciousness represents. That's hidden behind a regular person. He's like, oh yeah, I'm just a regular person. It's an act that's being played, and it's representative of something that's way larger than we can really see, because it's hidden behind the fact that it's a person. But it's what that person represents. It's what that person believes in, what they say constantly, like everything. It's more, we get a lot of our information from individuals. So our individual perspectives of reality largely are pieced together when we don't think for ourselves by individuals like Joe Rogan, who are placed in our perspectives in order to skew our perspectives. So I'm not concerned with Joe. Is basically nothing in the grander scheme of things. But whether he giving him the benefit of the doubt, whether he's like super smart, know what he's doing, and he's just a big piece of shit, or give him the other benefit of the doubt, he doesn't know anything that he's doing, and he's still just a piece of shit. But he's just ignorantly a piece of shit. I don't care either way. I lean more towards this intelligent individual has been in the game around people long enough. You'd have to be really naive to think otherwise, in reference to him knowing or not. But with this video, before I go any further, I wanted to kind of lay out other examples of these consciousness boxes that we get locked into that have us fighting each other based upon other people's perspectives, and really kind of lay out the various boxes that are accepted in reality as normal, and really we don't say anything about them because those perspectives are really talking about bigger issues that we don't normally talk about. Those issues that aren't normally talked about are exactly the issues that the system needs us to not talk about in order to maintain control. Because once you start talking about those unmentionable subjects, you will start to speak yourself into a perspective that is threatening to the system. So if you talk about the Native Americans, just plainly, that is in some vibration very threatening to the system that maintains its power or illusion of power by ignoring stories like the indigenous people, not only of the Americas, but across the earth. So these are the ways that we get locked into these perspectives, and individuals like Joe Rogan represent that. I just came across these images, and I wanted to share with people how those boxes look, and then jump straight into the Joe Rogan video and try to keep this short. So this is another good example of kind of like the whole "Make America Great Again" in this, and this is another example of how the system uses emotion and just like fear. They use grief to sell an agenda. They have no ethics, no morals. We all know this. So they will use anything that is effective to maintain their empire. So fear is easy to maintain because you're always going to have people out there that are going to do dumb shit. So you just have to televise that in order to maintain in the eyes of the masses that this is human nature. As long as you televise, and I'll get into that in the video with Joe Rogan, he says it again, and it really gets emphasized. This is why I say for us, people who are speaking in reference to critical thought and, tracking down truth, we have a responsibility to realize and point out the algorithms and the mechanisms that are used to keep us and other people from going that distance, because those are the weapons that keep us from coming together, that keep us from really figuring out how deep this storyline goes. And if we do not also play offense while we're playing defense. See, just saying like everything is beautiful, we're all one, we can come together, that's like playing defense. That's not really an offense. An offense is an actual focus. It includes defense, because in order to make an offensive move, you got to be tactful with it. You don't want to make a move that's going to make you vulnerable. So you have to be aware of the enemy's offense in order to have a effective defense and an effective offense. You can't just, swing away all, swing your sword all over the place and then, that's your offense. No, you have to be very impeccable with your approach. You have to be understanding the moves and the game and the board and everything. There's a lot of things that are involved there. And one of the main things that are obvious to me, at least that I've seen so long, are the things that are used against us. This is not to say that you focus only on the things that are coming against you. It's to keep an eye out and acknowledge what is going on equally. To your offense has to be equal to your defense. In my eyes, your offense has to be equal to your defense. So if we are being constantly attacked and psychologically and spiritually, and you don't get attacked anymore because your defenses are up, you don't get hit. You like when the religious swords or guns or cannons come your way, you don't get hit, because you don't mess around with that anymore. You know how to peep game before it even comes up. So you know how to not be affected by that. What I'm saying is we have brothers and sisters that are not that tuned in to really know how to do anything about that. So us who are in a position of realizing they have a responsibility of protecting our weakest links and protecting our brothers and sisters, whether or not they're in the war or not. Now you can say, oh, we're all in the war, but there are some people that are going to engage in this situation, and there are other people that aren't. Regardless of whether they are or aren't, some people and most people are going to be affected by everything that's going on. So that always goes back again to the people who are in the know of what's going on. You have to also step up your offense game along with your defense game. So when I point out things that are going on in the mind control arenas of human relationships, cultural relationships, ethnic relationships, political relationships, educational relationships, scientific, spiritual, psychological, all these different relationships are so complex that if you do not go into the complexities of how they work against you, you will be subjected to them, no matter how knowledgeable you think you are. If you do not have a widespread approach to what's going on, then you will have something that you need to work on. A lot of the times we get caught up in these, in not worrying about or not addressing or expanding our perspectives, because we get comfortable in one little thing, or we get caught up in our egos and we get caught up in just saying, these are the answers. This is it. This is the only, like for people in the New Age community who constantly preach we just need to come together, we're all human, and then it's all about integration. Well, it's a little bit more complex than that. There's a lot of healing and a lot of wounds and a lot of things that for some people don't even know that they're bleeding. Other people know that there's bleeding. Other people don't care that there's bleeding, and then other people are aware and not aware and just want to move on. These things aren't hashed out. This shit hasn't been called out, and it exists inside individuals. And as long as it's just like, we just need to go to the answer column, and the answer column says, come together and unify. Well, it's not that simple. You're having, our interactions are way more complex than that. And especially when you take in the realities of our ancestors, the realities of what's happening right now, how the ancestral storylines led up to now, and then how all of those storylines relate to and affect the future generations. So it's not, when you really boil it down to after we get out of this nonsense, after we get out of handling the mind controls of this reality, after we get through all of that, Then we can go into the let's come together, let's unify, because that storyline is completely going to change. But that is way down the line, because right now we have to deal with the boots on the ground. We are still being assaulted by hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of year old consciousness and mentalities that are still alive and well today. And as long as those old crusty ass pebbles in the boots or thorns in the paws exist, you might not be feeling it now because you dealt with you in whatever kind of way, but later on down the line, whether it's now in a few weeks or a few years or whatever it is that you didn't deal with now will come back to bite you in the ass later on. And it's our responsibility to our future generations to deal with this, everything that we can perceive right now, to the depths as far as we can go. And the system, the establishment, what I've been saying is that the establishment doesn't want you to go there, because the establishment makes its money off of keeping you thinking that you have all the answers. You got all the answers. You know everything that's going on. So just let the society do whatever it's going to do. And then you have people who are just saying, well, I'm not even going to go there because this is what I'm a Democrat, or I'm a Republican, or I'm a progressive, or I'm a truther, or I'm a whatever it is. That's exactly where not the reactionary system like wants you, because it's beyond that. It's your own experience playing with itself. It's you challenging yourself to go deeper. If you can only go as deep as Democrats or Republicans, that's as far as you're going to go. If you can only go as far as TYT versus Alex Jones, or just Alex Jones, hey, that's what you need to do. You can live and die like that, and there's nobody can judge you for that in any kind of way. There's nobody's responsibility for that. But the point is, you can see the difference between the mainstream media and TYT and Alex Jones, and you thinking for yourself. You see the progression, the steps in the progression of acknowledging the information, acknowledging how all of these pieces fit together, but still consistently growing and expanding your perspective to take into account as many of the things. This is just me speaking for my own progress, but a lot of other people can relate to this because we understand that you can grow. You are growing. You have no other option but to grow. The only thing is, are you going to grow consciously, or are you going to grow unconsciously? If you're growing consciously, you're going to be actively adding to the experiences that get presented to you. If you're unconsciously growing, the experiences that are brought to your attention will work against you because you are not paying attention. You're not conscious, and you don't know what to do with whatever the experience is throwing your way, and then you'll just end up in this chaotic bubble of self-destruction, self-hatred, and ultimately not knowing what the hell is going on, and just kind of be all over the place, which is beneficial for the establishment and anybody who wants to control or manipulate an individual or a mass amount of people. So the system itself is a master of this. And I just saw this little meme right now, and I wanted to share it real quick and then go through the rest of them, because I'll get into this in a second. But this one specifically is a good example of the boxes within a box. Because this is not even the conversation that's going on. But since since death is in the situation, and this can fly, and this is what I'm saying. Like, America does not boast because she has no need to. The America of John McCain has no need to be made great again, because America was always great. See, like, since your heartstrings are, how many people are going to say, what the fuck does this lady just say? Not many people are going to say that out of respect for her loss. But since she's on a platform that's facing the world, you think the establishment is going to miss that opportunity? Hell no. So they're going to create that box within a box to emphasize the chaos and re-energize the chaos within the individuals, to say this is to really take a step back. Because, well, first of all, it's not between the conversation is not between people who think America is great and was always great, like she says in here, and people who are saying make America great again. Those are two lost ass consciousnesses. They are deep in that shit, because the people who are at least slightly aware of the depths of the storyline are acknowledging that the true Americas didn't jive any kind of way with this United States colonial bullshit. But since the majority of people are still locked into the power grid as it stands, and the history books as they stand, and the perspectives as they stand, people believe this and they let it fly. Her saying America was always great is another version of saying make America great again. It's the same thing. People don't see this, though. We kind of let it fly because it's just like, oh yeah, John McCain just died or whatever. But I know people who are listening to this channel, they know exactly. I don't want to hit on it too hard. People know exactly what I'm saying. This just surprised the hell out of me. Not really surprising, but it was kind of shocking that, you know, this is out there like that. And the thing is, people are going to believe in it, and it's turned into a meme already. It's not like people, some people like really are about this. This was on the Associated Press or something like that. But yeah, no, I don't want to go into it too much. This was just to emphasize the micro box consciousnesses that get distributed to our perspectives, and we don't even know it. I mean, for people who obviously are tuning into this channel, you watch most of the time, but for the regular Joe Rogan mentality out there, they're gonna look at this and think to themselves, just like Bill Maher was talking about, this is America. If you're for the American shit, the real shit, then everybody has the right to free speech, including Alex Jones. You see how he speaks with that pompous, arrogant ass bullshit, just like tone. But that's another example, like what I just said right there. That's another example of this meme right here. It's another version, another way of saying make America great again. It's just, if you're about the real American shit, about free speech and the Constitution, then everybody has a voice and everybody can speak because that's the First Amendment. And then everybody's going to praise Bill Maher now because he's the one that stepped out and defended Alex Jones for free speech, because he's about the real American shit, not this make America great again fascist whatever. It's not a different, it's see, I'm already going on, but people already know, you know what I'm talking about, the dreams within the dreams. That's what they are. Meghan McCain is living in a dream within a dream by referencing America was always great because America was never great. Period. End of story. Same thing goes for Bill Maher talking about the real American shit, because there never was no real American shit like he's talking about. They live in a fairy tale land thinking that everything was always great because for them and for their people, it was, and it has been. This is not to say, like, I'm not going to get into that conversation right now, but these individuals, some of them really think that way. They really believe like things were great. Why? Because for them, it was. The thing that we're saying is that it was only great for them. Why? Because it was at the expense of other people. And they're in these positions of power to maintain that consciousness in the masses of people because of that situation that predates these situations right now. And they will do anything in their power to protect that situation, because as soon as people start empowering themselves from these perspectives, from the indigenous perspectives, from the natural perspectives, from the real science perspectives, from the alchemical perspectives, from the spiritual perspectives, from the healthy psychological perspectives, not the self-destructive perspectives that get, delivered to us by the mainstream media and so on and so forth. From the perspectives of healing the wounds, that's when real greatness will come. That's when real healing will come. But until then, As long as these individuals are playing these dreams within dreams within dreams, like Joe Rogan, like Bill Maher, like the mainstream media, like TYT, and anybody else who's protecting or backing these people up, because whether they know it or not, whatever it is, as long if we do not, this is a weapon. This is why I focus a lot of energy on this, because you can be on your game forever, but as long as the people are still being affected by perspectives like this, you're not really engaging in a 360-degree warfare situation. You might be affecting something for the greater on one end, but on the other end, you're leaking water. Like, you might be filling water on the top of that bucket, but there's a hole in the bottom. And these individuals keep poking holes in the bottom of your bucket of water, and other people keep drinking from that because they have the power to. They have the weapons. The mainstream media is a weapon, like an ice pick. So the ice pick just pokes a hole in your bucket every single time, and you think you're doing good because you keep pouring water into that bucket. But where's it going? Not to say that you only have to focus on that. Keep pouring water and keep doing what you're doing at the same time. In my eyes, you have a responsibility to protect yourself and other people around who are being affected by this. And their mind control programs are constantly growing around your work, whether you're playing offense or defense, it doesn't matter. So a situation like this, some words pieced together like this, because words are spells. Spells is an alchemy that's used against the people. This is a weapon. As long as these weapons fly freely, they're going to affect somebody. And if you're saying we're all one, we need to be united, that somebody is that person you talking about being united, and you have united with, and you have a responsibility to them, if you say that, to help them with defending themselves from these belief systems that are beneficial to the establishment. Because anything beneficial to the establishment is going to be not beneficial to your work and to what you're doing, if you claim to be connected to everybody and so on and so forth. If you want to stay in your little bubble, live on a mountain, do on your own thing, and be unified with anybody who else is in that little circle, that's fine. Yeah, it might not be affecting you now, but don't be surprised when those bulldozers start coming onto your land, just like gentrification did in the inner cities. That's what I'm saying. We can't repeat history. We have to deal with the depths of this situation right now. So, excuse me. Before we get into the Joe Rogan stuff, let me find this. I want to give a couple more examples. Yeah, okay. Spiritual bypassing. All right. So these are the extremes of the groups that are out there. Like I said, you have these different perspectives, and you have this stuff that's going on, and we get so caught up in the chaos of it all. It's like, how the fuck are we going to deal with Satanists and all the drugs and kidnapping and adrenochrome and flat earth and Alex Jones and TYT and politics and 9/11 and how the hell chemtrails and fluoride, and how the hell is anybody going to deal with all that shit? How are we going to do anything with that? So most people just say, I'm not going to deal with anything, and they just walk away. And that's fine. Do what you got to do. But people who are taking a responsibility for this is for you. Or maybe you're new to it and don't know it and want to get into that. But the main thing is, we are locked into either chaos or fear, or being kind of like frozen in powerlessness, frozen in emptiness. We only go so far. Why? A good example is people like Steven Spielberg is like, and all the other people who are engaged in satanic bullshit. Like, they have all the money in the world. And then you have other people who are rich and claim to be, or rich in money, but claim to be like on your side, and they have all the resources and money in the world, but they can only do so much, or they look like they can only do so much, and they only really do so much. So you, as a little nothing, little regular average person, you kind of just sit back and watch the show. So this is kind of how we get shocked into nothingness and don't really do anything, and nothing ever really moves. So I just wanted to like expand this out, because I don't know what. Okay, so yeah, so this was the first one. So Steven Spielberg, we got the Illuminati pedophile stuff that's going on. He's intertwined with Hollywood. Hollywood's intertwined with politics and so on and so forth. You have them. You have people who are like, we need to deal with this. Of course you need to deal with this. This is pedophilia, satanic bullshit. You had to deal with this shit. It's something that you have to be aware of, at least, and address. Otherwise, they're going to keep going. These are your little cousins, your nieces and nephews, and you can see that they're all in the same game. They're all in the same world, doing the same things for the same means against the same people. That's the whole point. These storylines and this work is not new. This is very old. It's ancient. And if we don't know how this has been working against us from the perspective of our ancestors, we're going to miss the things that are going to affect us now and our future generations. So you got groups like Hollywood that's going to protect him. And then this will tie into all of that LGBT sort of how they're trying to merge pedophilia with the LGBT community. And they had a TED Talks about pedophilia being just like a thing that should be accepted in society. So these are the belief systems that these individuals are starting to install. Because why? Because they can. Because people are so empty out, they don't know what to believe. So they're only going to follow some people who might even be against pedophilia. Because the establishment is telling them that it's okay, that it's normal, that it's something that should be accepted, those people are going to get off of the fence and be on the side of the status quo. They're going to be on the side of the mainstream media that says, yeah, pedophilia is cool. They're just another group, just like the LGBT group. And they're going to lump all this stuff together. And what that's going to do is going to cut down your approach to the injustices being inflicted onto the people by the pedophilia church system, the pedophilia political system, the pedophilia Hollywood system. These are protection grids. These are defense mechanisms for the establishment. And to say that we're not going to focus any energy on this or look into this is absurd. If you claim to be a truther and so on and so forth, if you only have one specific thing that you want to focus on, by all means, do your thing. But it's a little bit more complex than that. And these are the things that are out there. They're in your movie. This was from a movie, Ready Player One. And this is the what is that? The man boy lover logo. These are in your cartoons. This is not only, there's a bunch of images in your cartoons, but this is a movie. So this tied in Hollywood, Steven Spielberg, the Podesta stuff, the Illuminati pedophilia stuff, and I just wanted to use this as an example of the depths to tie in all this other stuff. And really give another, like, okay, well, this exists, and this is, and like, what are we gonna do now? Like, what are they doing? Where did this come from? Who are they connected with? What kind of circles, and so on and so forth. So there's that group. There's, like, to lump it all in, you can say, like, satanic. We have the satanic groups. Just to give an example of extremes, you have this satanic group. On the other side of that, and you can see how they're trying to be accepted in society. So now you have, on the other extreme, or seemingly other extreme, are the New Agers. And then you have the New Age community that's been around for decades. You have this idea of, well, since you have Satanists out there, I'm not a Satanist, I'm with Jesus, or I'm with, whatever deity you claim to be with. A lot of the times people use that extreme as an escape mechanism for, not really dealing with or facing or acknowledging the nuts and bolts of how and why this stuff goes along. So we jump to another space of, we're all one, we need to unify, we need to integrate, and ultimately what happens as a side effect in that situation, and I realize this because I was introduced to that reality having lived in a New Age community for about a year, or around one, and not really engaging in anything, just being around people in that space, but noticing that there's something very, very wrong in there. There's something that is going to be used, and it is being used in as a contingency plan, if it's not plan A for this system, which is what I think it is, for after the quote unquote the bad guys get thrown in jail. Well, we're getting promoted. We've been conditioned with all this negativity for so long. What do you think the system's gonna do? You think they're never going to play the good card? You think they're always going to play the bad card? No. And if they are going to switch to the good card, you think they're not going to use the bad card as a way to help them move into a better sort of a better, like a seemingly better look in the eyes of the masses? Of course they're going to say they're going to use scapegoats. This is what I say is like the Zionist stuff, like, and a lot of the satanic stuff. It's being used to create a villain in order to create a superhero. So as long as you have people focusing on the superhero versus the villain, you're not really amplifying the responsibility and the energy of the people to empower themselves. You're still watching a movie. So the real power comes from connecting with your roots and really doing something rather than just, attacking the Satanists or something. No, you have a responsibility from your perspective, from your life, to expand your consciousness. How are you going to know the difference between you and the individuals who are doing it? Maybe some of these satanic measures are being moved into the New Age community. And if you ask me, there is no question about that. That's why I say that this whole unification, integration, we're all one, we're all human, answer key approach to this very complex system is very dangerous, and it's very part of the next agenda. And if we start just, jumping in that pool and throwing a pool party of amazing because now we know we're all one, we know now we're all human, now all we have to do is just come together and everything's gonna be okay. Okay, try it, see what happens. What do you think the hippie movement was trying to do in the 60s? And what happened? Concessions happened. The civil rights concession happened. The talking about war and all that other stuff happened. The talking about racism and all that stuff happened. But were any of these situations really dealt with on a root level? No. In fact, it got more complex. So this is why, I can't remember the person who said the quote. Who was that? We cannot accept concessions as progress. Damn it, who said it? I'll remember some other time. But that's true. We've been concessed to death, or whatever the singular is for concession or whatever that is. But you know what I'm saying? Like, we've been constantly fed this idea, no different than that lady saying America has always been great. Really? That's worse than Make America Great Again, because at least Make America Great Again acknowledges how fucked up everything is. But on the other hand, America's always been great. She can say that because I think it was her dad just, passed, and he's a public figure and so on and so forth. So people are going to, oh, that's so sweet. And then they're going to use that. And then instead of realizing how fucked up that is to say that, people are going to say, oh, you know what? America has been all great. So who is she really talking to? Why was she placed out there? These are not mistakes. These are very on purpose, everything that's happening. So to jump back onto the boxes that are being positioned out there, like that's a box. America has always been great. That's a box. It's like a baby boomer box. So who is she talking to? She's talking to everybody who's tuning into his funeral, and his people tuning into his funerals are who? Who people tuning into his funeral? Who? They're all the baby boomers. Same thing went for Aretha Franklin stuff, and then you had Clinton and all these other people coming together. They're all making video appearances and all. They don't give a fuck about any of that. They don't give a fuck about how Al Sharpton was RESPICT, respect me. Like, no, they don't care about none of that. They just want to be out there looking like they about something, looking like they want to create confusion. All these little video clips and these memes talking about the preacher or the priest or whoever grabbed Ariana Grande's on the side and all these other people. All that stuff is a distraction to make you, at the end of the day, what's it going to boil down to? America has always been great and make America great again. That's the game that they're playing in their world. It's not your world. That's their world that you think is your world, because you live in the United States. You live here. You have all these values and so on and so forth. You have all these anchor points connecting you to that belief system, and because it's been in your world for so long, you think that's you. It ain't never been you. Never been you. It's always been about protecting the empire, and it forever will be. Forever. You think that this situation, these individuals gain all this power and just gonna give it away? Well, the New Agers think that, and they've been conditioned by shit like Netflix, and I'll get into that in a second after I read this. Because one of the things that's happening is when you just get into just like this spiritual bypassing mentality, that's another way of not looking at any of the other situations that are out there that are they're very much in your world. They're affecting you. But just like you can get into what's another one? Chaos bypassing. It's just you're constantly, people who are always angry, that's a defense mechanism. So the other side of that are people who are always quote unquote spiritual. You're bypassing. You're using these things as these tools as representations of who and what you are. It never was meant to be that way. It's kind of like if you like smoking weed, are you going to smoke weed every minute for the rest of your life? No, because you're going to miss out on a part of you. So who you are naturally outside of just being underneath the cloud of that tool all the time. Does that make the tool bad? Of course not. Are the tools there for a purpose? So the same thing goes for like spirituality and the New Age tools that are in the New Age communities. Does it make crystals bad because fake ass New Age people wear crystals? Oh, fuck that. They don't have that power. But people are so shallow, they kind of like accept that or think like that, and they go to the other extreme. The same way people jump into the New Age community going from the extreme of, being a Republican or some shit like that. So what happens when they jump into that box is all these other things that are designed to keep them in that box, like the mainstream media is designed to keep people in the political box. TYT is to keep people in the progressive box. Alex Jones is to keep people in the patriotic box. Bill Maher is to keep people in the all of the above box. Conspiracy theories are the flat earth connected to the Christianity, the Christian movement, that's another box. And then that's another thing that's connected to the New Age community and the New Age like frequency is something like I don't understand how a lot of these people are connected to the church and the Bible and Christianity and all that other stuff, and flat earth, but don't really acknowledge how the church and the religions and a large part of the Bible, like how it's been used against the people, the Jesuits especially, like created this globe model. Like we make all the all the videos in the world about, no curvature tests and lasers and all this other, same balloons all over the place. But how the hell, like if I was an actual Christian, like the way like people like Rob Skiba are in flat earth, how the hell are you not gonna really go into the depths of acknowledging, like you should be burning that shit down. Like you're the front line of the people who created. You're the front line against the people who created the globe model in the first place. It really boggles the mind to really see how that exists, and then it doesn't really go any further than that. And then, but the dangerous thing that is on that is what I was saying before. It's perfect and has the same effect as the New Age approach. It's like leave these gaps in people, leave these openings in people, have them be one-sided. Don't have people approach everything or all these other sides. Just leave all these openings open, and then that'll be the space that the establishment will use to, or whatever, will use to revamp its next system, which I'll get into right now. Before, I want to read this. When we are spiritually bypassing, we often use the goal of awakening or liberation to rationalize what I call premature transcendence. Trying to rise above the raw and messy side of our humanness before we have fully faced and made peace with it. So the same thing goes with the flat earth situation. People are thinking that they are spiritually awakened now because they have a flat earth realization, and maybe they got a little sprinkling of Christianity in there, so now they're like super powerful, like flat earth Christians. And that's how a lot of these people are walking around, and they think they got it. That's it, they're done. That's all they think. Hey, people gonna live and die like that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Do the fuck what you gonna do. If that's it, then that's it. Do that. But for the other people who know that there's something missing, and even further that there might be something wrong with that, even further than that, it might be something dangerous with that. Those are the people that I'm talking to right now. Because the people who are just going to be caught up in their egos, which is the easiest thing to do. Because like I said, the change is the hardest thing. People gonna get caught up in their egos. They only need things. They're not interested in continually growing. They need something to be excited about, something to focus on, something to maintain their attention while we clunk along in this bullshit. Like this is exactly what the system wants. Be one-sided. And then the establishment or the system, they'll fill everything else in. So we have spiritual bypassing in the New Age community. You have like flat earther bypassing in the flat earth community. You got conspiracy theory bypassing in the conspiracy theory, patriotic bypass. People are super patriots, and you got super supremacists, super white supremacists that are out there. You got all kinds of things that are out there. But for this video, I wanted to just focus on some of the main things that are out there dealing directly with flat earthers, or people who are at least open to the not globe reality, and so on and so forth. Because this shit is sloppy right now. It really is sloppy. Because I say it's sloppy because there are a lot of people out here who are claiming to be truthers and talking about all this stuff that's out there, but still holding on to these belief systems and these kind of very naive sort of perspectives, not in like an insulting way, but in a perspective of not really knowing the depths of something. Like for me, like I lived in the New Age like mindset for a while. I'm still around that kind of mindset with other people, and I've been watching it for a long. I know how it's going to be instituted into the future, like mind control programs. So I see that as something I need to focus on just as equally as much as anything else that I'm focusing on, because that's going to be the next trap for people. And the biggest threat to us in that war are these traps out there. Just imagine like a battlefield and people running in like, yeah, I got it. Woo! They're just like rumbling through the battlefield, and they got their flat earth sword, or their Christian sword, or their patriotic sword, or their conspiracy theory sword, or their whatever kind of gun. They're running. They're charging towards the enemy. But the enemy set up all these traps, all these holes in the ground, all these things, and that's going to get the majority of egotistical people who are just running out there with their sword all one-sided and shit. They're going to run straight into those traps. Those traps are going to, it's like running into a trap door. The trap door is like a slide. It's like a slip and slide. It'll slide all the way past the enemy lines, behind the enemy lines, and before you know it, when you come out on the other side, you'll be on the same side as that enemy. And you didn't realize it because you didn't see the trap coming. And in that trap, while you were in that trap, you didn't realize that you were in a trap because it was so slick, it was so smooth, and it was so part of something that you didn't even acknowledge was a part of you, that you came out on the other side and ended up being just like the people you were claiming to be against. And then the other people who didn't charge hard into that, with their flat earth sword or their Bible sword or their, whatever it is, their sword, like people are, going into that. A lot of people are not going to really, the people who are sitting back, they're not really, it's going to be more difficult is the whole point. It's going to be, instead of having to go through that experience, like I said, people are going to fall into those trap doors. Hey, they picked up their own legs. If they were naive enough to be conditioned by the words and the psychology to move their legs by themselves into a trap, hey, and the people around them weren't knowledgeable enough to warn them about that situation, then what are you going to do? There's nothing else that person can do. There's nothing else that individual can do to learn from that situation other than falling into that trap. I mean, that goes across the board. So we're really dealing with or approaching the situation from realizing that all of these things are very important. And you can't really have an attachment to it because the more attachment you have to it, the more you'll miss out on all the energy and space that's there from living a space of not having, living in a space of not having that attachment, but in fact, knowing the benefits of detachment. So knowing the benefits of detachment in my perspective, once you get into that space, you're really coming closer to understanding what it means to be attached. Like, so you allow yourself to be more attached, closer to people when you detach and know more of yourself over time. So these are the things that are getting like demonizing and whatever, or just kind of like washed over by the mainstream consciousness. But we're getting to a space to where we have to start holding ourselves accountable for this. But it's very difficult when you have a lot of these things like spiritual bypassing and other tools that are being utilized as expressions of who and what you are, and that's dangerous. So, excuse me. So like this is another group. Like, you have people who see this and they're not even reading this, but they just see the glory or the beauty in like ancient civilizations, and they're going to say, hey, I don't need to do or know anything else. I just need to copy and paste what my ancestors have already done. Are they wrong for doing that? No. I mean, who the fuck are you to tell them they're wrong for doing that? Let them do whatever the hell they're going to do. They're going to, like I said, they're going to fall into a trap. You can only do so much. So, but at the same time, that's one side. That's not the only side, though. You can't approach the information in your ancestors by saying, well, just because they are doing that and are just being proud of something that they might not even know completely what it is, and they might have been in some jacked up shit too. Point being is that you can't just say, well, they're all wrong, just to validate you being right. And you can't say that they're all wrong because there's other stuff. What I'm saying is that they might have been wrong, but in many ways, but there are many ways that they were right. And just because this whole group of ancient, ancestors like the Egyptians and all this other stuff, like you cannot, it would be a big mistake to look at them and say, well, they were a part of the establishment too, and not learn from that time frame. That is very arrogant and very naive. So we have to learn from this situation and then move on. So like in this image, it says they tried to teach us that a man is here to protect the woman, but spiritually the woman is here to protect the man. That's a thing that a lot of people weren't even, some people probably listening to this right now, ain't never heard that before. So that's another something that, not everybody in the truther community knows about. What does that mean? To the depth. You could probably spend your entire life trying to figure out what that means. But a lot of the times right now, people get so caught up in their own comfort zones or their own belief systems of they got all the answers, they'll just demonize this. Why? Because you got arrogant, egotistical people that are out there, spouting off all that out of Africa theory. But that's just one side. The other side is your responsibility to understanding the information that was of truth. Take it and move on. Take that information, learn from it, grow from it, and move on. If you get in that space of keeping yourself proud and on your high horse just because you're different or you think different or you got some information that they might know about, that's ego. It's bullshit. It's egotistical. It's naive. And it really is just a distraction or a deflection from your responsibility to in understanding what these things what they actually were meaning, because it affects you now. It's a part of your growth process from now. The rest of it says, how many times did your woman warn you about a feeling she got, and how many times was she right? In every ancient statue with a pharaoh next to his wife, they always have the woman's arm around the man in protection. This image is not just about that individual. This is about balances of reality. This is about interpretations of reality. But if you're caught up in they were just this and that, you're just going to miss out on the interpretations of this reality that had already been gone through over and over and over again. So you have, like I said earlier, at the same time, you have other civilizations that were thriving pre-Columbian era that, yes, it's something obviously to help you connect to your roots. And it's very beneficial. It can't be there's no way that I could see that can be demonized. It's not to say that you're only this, but it's to say that this very definitely is a part of you. And just because you know something else doesn't mean, in my eyes, that you can just say, oh, well, I'm not this now just because I am now aware of this. No, I am aware of this. My spiritual side, my spiritual expression, my, whatever it is, the higher vibrations of who and what I am. Yes, I am that. And I am also this in some kind of way, not to be in a limitation space, in a space of existence, responsibility, ownership. Like, okay, well, are systems still affecting people today based upon what was affecting my ancestors hundreds of years ago? You bet your ass they are. So what's your responsibility there? I don't know until I go into understanding what my ancestors were having to deal with. Is that different than what we were dealing with now? No, it's the same thing. It's just more complex. And we have to figure out what that meant, how that happened. We're not going to figure it out by just looking away and just saying, oh, well, the answers are over here. The answers are in Antarctica. The answers are in the North Pole. The answers are in the firmament. You can go get your answers. You'll get exactly what you asked for. At the same time, please acknowledge what I'm saying. That's just another answer. You're jumping over the other answers you will get from compassionately connecting to the information that has already lived and died through your ancestors and is still alive in you right now. That's all I'm saying. Not to say pick this over the other. Like, nah, I'm saying like look at all of it. There's so many different takes these things connecting to your ancestry on every single level. Your spiritual, psychological, and physical ancestry is something that is directly related to how much power you will activate in this reality. And by just throwing one to the side because you think one's cooler, hey, do whatever it is you're going to do. But in my eyes, don't think that that is going to be like the end all be all. No, you will definitely have to deal with or face that information or that situation one way or another. And the earlier the better, because we're talking about empowerment. We're talking about power. You put your power cells, you put that information all the way, down the line somewhere, that work, that responsibility down the line somewhere, and you're going to miss out on all the energy and all the defense and offense that you could have used between now and then if only you had stepped out of your comfort zone to realize your responsibility of doing this work and facing this information and these individuals right now, from a space of empowerment, from a space of connecting to nature, connecting to roots, and knowing what all that means on every level. Not just one level, not just the spiritual level, not just the psychological level, not just one or the other physical level, all levels. And you can't fake your way through that shit. You can't guess your way through experience. You can't hope your way. You can't ego your way through that. You actually have to do that work. And some people were thrusted into that work and not even knowing it. Like when I went into the New Age community, I didn't know that I was going to go in there to understand how it works against the people. I had no fucking idea. I went in there thinking, oh, I'm just like I was open. I was like, this is the best place. These people have all the answers. There I was again, looking for answers. And I got those answers. And none of those answers made any fucking sense beyond any regular frequency. Just some normal ass bullshit. All that shit in the New Age community, that's all basic shit. All the meditation, you think our ancestors didn't tap into all this shit? This is basic. And people today are taking pride in it because the status quo is just caveman. It's bullshit. It's just garbage. So they're taking that caveman garbage ass mentality and trying to they're trying to paint it. It's like painting a turd. So they're giving an upgrade to the turd of this civilization. So it's like polishing the turd of civilization. This is not even a civilization. It's polishing the illusory, the turd of an illusory civilization. So we're going from a dream within a dream within a dream. Like it goes further and further depending on what perspective you want to take, but you see what I'm saying. So now that we've gotten through all the muck and the bullshit of that's how the previous generations and how our interactions with previous generations happening right now are being affected, now we have to deal with the next agendas of the establishment or the people, whatever you want to call it, the energies, the entity, the beings, the intelligence, whatever it is. It's using what you pride yourself in to sell its next agenda. If you cannot realize that, you are severely naive. If you do not think flat earth will be used in some kind of way to sell in the next agenda, that is naive as hell. And if you are in that community and you do not realize that and make that one of your focuses, then you are naive as hell. And that will be the downfall for people. Naivete. Whether it's negative, naivete, or it's positive naivete. Are you spiritually bypassing, or are you ignorantly bypassing, or are you just kind of hopelessly or empty bypassing? Whatever it is, they all have the same effect on people. Egotistical bypassing. It's just like, it's all about me, my perspective, what I think, and I have all the answers. Like, this is it. Like, and then say, there you go, we're gonna be, this is a new thing. Like, people create this and that, and then like, this is our group. Well, here, okay, fine, do that. And like I said in previous videos, you're always gonna have people do that. That's a known factor. So if that's a known, then you also have to know that the system is not going to do that. They're not just going to buy one program. They're going to go into all the programs, and they're going to expand those programs as the system grows and as the people grow, or the consciousness of the people grows. So the system knows this. It was growing with information coming through the internet. Now the internet growing now is the systems need to get more complex than they are. So like I said in previous videos, when I started asking questions, that was in 2008, and it was mostly because of a documentary called Zeitgeist. And would I promote Zeitgeist today? No, of course not. It's too like basic. I mean, does that mean that the information in there, all of it, was totally bullshit? No, of course of course not. There was a lot of good information in there, but the perspective, the approach, and the negative information or the counterproductive information and intentions that were in that space will actually make me say, I wouldn't even recommend that to anybody this day. But who is recommending it, which also confirmed why I was, for me, my feeling of staying away from those kinds of we have all the answers sort of groups and mentalities like Zeitgeist with their whole Venus project and breaking down whatever from their perspectives. Like I said in previous videos, it's not only about what you're saying, it's what you're not saying. Has Zeitgeist said anything about the indigenous or the indigenous story or colonialism or, the psychology of racism? No, they hint on it, but like hinting on it's like hinting on a cancer. Why would you just hint on a cancer? Not to say that they have a responsibility to say anything about it, because they don't. They never lived that shit. But what I'm saying is that they are a part of a system that's trying to just use these quick fix sort of tools to deal with scenarios that are way more complex. Like I said in a previous video, it's kind of like taking an aspirin for a stage 4 cancer. This is what the Zeitgeist community is doing. This is what the New Age community is doing. Parts of the Flat Earth community are doing this. And definitely this fake conspiracy, because there's a fake conspiracy truther stream of consciousness that exists on channels like Netflix and various channels on YouTube. But it's easy to see on Netflix, and I've broken this down many a times. But there's an algorithm for Netflix. Netflix ain't nothing different than the mainstream media. Everything on Netflix, you might as well be watching NBC, MSNBC, Fox News, and CNN, just from an entertainment side. So if you see something on Netflix, know that it's a part of mind controlling you the same way the mainstream media is doing it. Does that, like I said, does that mean all the information on there is, bad or whatever? No, don't be so damn simple. It's not that. It's the only thing that's going to mind control complex individuals are complex algorithms. Complex algorithms have to be fed to you with positive sort of thing. You're not going to take like a pill of bullshit. No, you're smarter than that. Your consciousness is not going to deal with that. So they got to sell you, basically, for a good example, extreme, but it's not that far. They got to sell you Satanism under the guise of Christianity, or Satanism under the guise of the New Age. But do they call it? No. Do they call it that? No. They call it something else. But energetically, it has the same effect. It has the same meaning. It's kind of like how The Jesuits are involved. I don't even want to get into all that shit, but you know what I mean. Like, and look at it from like the United States of America perspective right now, spreading freedom, still telling people they're spreading freedom as they're bombing all these countries and then talking shit about them because they're third world countries now. So you suck the fucking resources out of these lands. It didn't just happen overnight. No, there's something that you're ignoring that's allowing that to grow. And it won't be dealt with until you stop ignoring it and deal with it. But they can't stop ignoring it, first step, and they can't deal with it, second step, because if they do any of those, it will threaten their power. This is all known for the people, majority of people are watching this. So I just wanted to get that space of, this is like stuff like this unacknowledged. I couldn't even finish this shit because I know Stephen Greer from back in 1993, not personally. I was like, 12 at that time, but like I know Stephen Greer from, what is that video that I seen, I don't even know the name of it now, but basically what this dude is known for, he's some kind of doctor, claims to be not a part of the government or the CIA, but he's close to people in the government and the CIA and so on and so forth. He supposedly created this disclosure thing back in the 90s that gathered up all these secret insiders of all branches of the military and the government to come together and release the information about the extraterrestrials. And now is our time. This documentary is on Netflix and just came out in 2017. So that what I just mentioned to you was like a panel sort of thing that was done on like some local thing, and then eventually it leaked onto YouTube, but that was in the 90s. And then recently, back in like 2012, I think, he produced a documentary called Sirius, and that was also about disclosure too. So that was 5 years ago, so probably 6 years ago. So you can see the progression of maintaining your focus. And you can see how systems like Netflix or the government, which is the same thing, utilize these communities and this momentum to dumb you down and channel your energy, channel your focus onto their next mind control program. So Stephen Greer and the alien agenda, that whole thing, all of this is directly connected to the next sort of, we're all one, we all need to unify under humanity and integrate under humanity, the perspective of humanity, because this is the scenario with aliens. You're going to have good aliens and you're going to have bad aliens. You got people like David Icke telling you that there's bad aliens in the government, and those are the ones who are running everything and sucking our blood through frequency and so on and so forth. Not to say that stuff doesn't exist. It's just to say the next more complex Hegelian dialectic that's being delivered to us. You're going to have good aliens and bad aliens. The good aliens, you already know the bad aliens. The good aliens are the ones that are, coming through these channelers that are, this is supposedly obvious. This is what's being believed by the system. These supposed good ones that are coming through channelers and like these various systems in New Age communities, speakers and belief systems, and Ancient Aliens is another one. They play the good aliens and the bad aliens, and through talking to the church and talking about the church and saying, well, the church had bad aliens and they also had good aliens that did this and they wanted to do this. So the basic thing is that you're chaotic after a while. You don't know what to think or how to feel anymore, and then you just believe in aliens. Why? Because Hollywood, the other mind control program, has been telling you that since TV came into being, since Hollywood was invented. Disney was doing the same shit. So, I mean, this is all known, but I just want to give other examples. This isn't up to date. I didn't even know this documentary existed, unacknowledged. But you can see, even in the name, like, what else has been unacknowledged? The Native Americans, the indigenous story, like white supremacy, like these stories. Those are the ground tree roots type shit that's unacknowledged, that's way more important to everyday life and our human resources and the shit that's happening every day. But what's more important to, according to Netflix? And this is pawned off to you as like the thing that you need to be focusing on. Aliens. Whether it's ancient aliens or aliens in Area 51 that the government's not telling you, and these secret insiders have all the information, and as soon as we realize, like, they're just jumping out the same perspective Reagan was talking about when he was saying, oh yeah, what if we had an alien threat and it would unify all of us under one common enemy, and so on and so forth. I mean, that's bullshit. And in this documentary, they're talking about, I wrote this shit down. It's saying quotes like, how cool would it be for interplanetary trade would be? These materialistic piss ants are still talking about like what the fuck? Like, this is how far this goes when you, especially when you're coming from the perspective of realizing that the earth ain't got shit to do with how they perceive the solar system, this system. They're telling you about their solar system. Look at the cover of this shit. Look at the colors. There's like LGBT shit in there. You got the globe shit in there. You got the new age alien shit in there. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. This is not new. This is not secret. It's right in your face. So, Unacknowledged is another one out there. Like I said, I couldn't finish it, but I only watched the first. This is what I do with things like that. I watch the first 15 minutes or however long it takes for them to stop repeating or to start repeating themselves, so they get their formal things. This is how I've watched a lot of documentaries that I would never really watch. Like back in the day, I used to watch these things out of interest. Now I watch them because I want to decode them. But a lot of the times you don't need to, because they're just trying to prove themselves the whole time. So what only really matters is how they're introducing you into the story and how they're closing you out of the story. The in-between stuff is just, filler. It's just there to distract you and make you feel more and more vested into what it is they're going to sell you at the end of the documentary. Sirius does the same thing. Ancient Aliens does the same thing. Any of these Zeitgeist does the same thing. Like all these other ones do. They do the same thing. So with this Unacknowledged one, it was about a good 15, almost 20 minutes to where they kept saying, this is what we believe and this is how it is. And then once I realized, like, oh, now they're just to give examples of the shit they introduced for another hour and a half. Well, then I could just skip through all that shit and then look at the last 15 minutes of how they want you to think about what they just told you. And how they want you to think about what they told you to begin with. So they got what they told you in the beginning. They got what you saw after they told you what they wanted you to believe. And now they got you at the end, like, okay, now that you have these two things, this is what it means. This is what it is. And then towards the end, that's when they say shit like how cool it would be for interplanetary trade. And then the people need to lead disclosure. Like, it's the people that need to come together and start asking the government to release this information. And it's an inherently powerless perspective that's promoted through things like Netflix and these supposedly forward-thinking and forward-moving movements out there. But they're not. They're just moving you into another chattel, system that's powerless. So disclosure, the word disclosure is powerless because it gives the government power over you. Do you need disclosure to empower yourself? What is the ultimate power that you get? Do you get it from the Constitution? Do you get it from somebody else? No, you get it from your connections to who and what you are, your ancestors, who you are now, who you are to be, how all these fit how you were raised, like all this stuff. This is from, if you use it the right way, then you can get somewhere. When you're asking the government to do something for you, you're not going to go anywhere other than where they want you to go. So let's say the government says, I see your disclosure and I raise you a go fuck yourself. Or I see your disclosure and yeah, sure, we'll fold and we'll just, release this little money that we had in the pot to you. You think you won, right? Because you lost that or you won that hand. Look at the bank these guys rolled. You think because they lost one hand at disclosure, they gonna relinquish the whole game? Hell no, your stupid ass is still sitting at the table thinking that they don't have any power now because aliens are now in the discussion. That old child mind ass naive shit is just thriving right now. That's basically what Netflix is. I mean, look at the it's all PG-13. At best, it's a 17-year-old mentality. And it's a 17-year-old mentality within this sick and disease ass system. I mean, I can spend years breaking down Netflix. I mean, I basically am just Netflix alone. But yeah, people already know that. So I don't even know if I want to go to Joe Rogan thing because this thing went on too long. I might just say fuck it. But it is next. Let's see. I'll just speed it up. Fucking people, videos be long anyway. Who damn. Point is, with this, put these pieces together. The New Agers are saying we're all one, we're all human, we need to unify. The New Agers are the government. The New Agers are with aliens. The aliens are with disclosure. This mentality, not obviously literally, but mentality-wise. The disclosure and alien and New Age agenda walk hand in hand. They're like the biggest things that are holding that shit afloat to make you think that, to focus your energy from that perspective, into that perspective. So if you jump on the bandwagon that they're already presenting to the people and not realize the downfalls of the weaponization of that, then you're just as naive as anybody else who's just coming into this blind. Equally naive, equally ignorant. Because this is a warfare. This is a war. It don't matter how many things that you think you got going on offensively. If you don't upgrade your defense, not because you're not a badass or whatever, because your brothers and sisters don't even know what the fuck offense or defense is. If you don't think that's your responsibility, fine. I do, and other people do as well. And I'll go ahead and speak from this perspective as long as I can. Because in my eyes, that's the only way we're going to have an actual chance at really empowering ourselves from the roots up. Not the ground up, from the roots in the ground up. This ground grassroots shit, it ain't shit. I'm talking about the tree roots. When you get to that, there's nothing else. You acknowledge all these other situations at the same time, and then you move forward. And when you go there, it will make these situations like this, like you're seeing, like you look at this image right now, you see LGBT, you see globe solar system programming, you see Hollywood, you see aliens, you see the New Age community, you see all this fake unification, you see this, fake justice for the people, like that's what they're thinking. That's what they think. This is the biggest thing. And then I can narrow it all the way down to from the perspective. And obviously it's not limited to this perspective, but for shits and giggles, we can take this all the way back to white supremacy again. Like this is some this shit goes deep, man. The disclosure of fake aliens in a fake civilization is the pinnacle of ignorant supremacy or ignorant. Like, I mean, how far do you want to go, man? Like ancient aliens, they need that shit. They need aliens. And this is another thing that the alien agenda does. What the alien agenda does is it obviously creates this fake unity, like this fake, like, oh, since now we have a common enemy, or now that we know that we're all human, and it's all based upon, extraterrestrial ethnicities, then we can just unify under humanity. Well, what that does is that it kind of like in reference to the Joe Rogan thing, and I'll jump over that now. Before I get over there now, It does things that the Joe Rogan consciousness does, the regular Joe thing does. It prides itself in this idea that evolution, the evolution of humanity. I've said this over and over and over again, that technology in the university system is the evolutionary peak of humanity. And when it says that, it also says that death and destruction and the means it took to get there, genocide and slaughtering of people, that's human nature, and that's also part that's going to be seen as an evolved way of being. So this consciousness's version of evolution is death and destruction, technology, and moving through your world by destroying nature. They see that as an evolutionary peak, when we know that our people see that as a de-evolution. So people are being de-evolved. But since you have technology, you think you're being evolved because technology is told to you as being an evolved mentality. So people like Joe Rogan maintain that belief system and that sort of next control grid, mind control program. They maintain that by consistently repeating the things that I just said in ways that you won't really pick up. They say it in discussions. They say it with like, well, that's human nature. And then you're like, wait a second. You're just talking about, like, if you go deeper, you're talking about death and destruction. Like, who the fuck said that that's human nature? You asshole said that. That's not true for all of us. And that goes back to the definitions. If you don't get your definitions right, somebody else will define you. Humanity has been defined by inhumane beings. Humanity has been defined by inhumane beings. And until you get your definitions tight, you're not going to be doing anything. You're going to be spinning wheels thinking that's going to go on. Why? Because the people, the inhumane consciousness, the inhumane actions of inhumane beings, they are not dumb. They will continue to grow. They will continue to expand their control measures around your egotistical, naive, and ignorant approaches to what's going on here. You bring a linear, a checkerboard, a checker game mentality, one move at a time. Let's just come together. That's one move. Hey, king me. I made it. Let's just say that. When you finally get to a space of realizing that we're all one, we're all human, that's basically like you're a king in a checker game. You ain't getting to the chess game. Why? Because you said the chess game don't matter. And that the 3-tier chess game for your soul and your mind and your body don't matter. Why? Because you got a crown on your head now. Only thing is you playing checkers. You stuck to a board. You might be a king in that realm. You might have all the pieces on the board scared of you. But you're still playing in a box. And your true power will never be, inhabited until you break out of that. You got to let go of, you got to put that crown down and realize, hey, maybe there's something else here. Maybe I need to step my game up a little bit. So here we go. What another thing before I close this out and this unacknowledged shit. People who are doing videos, and you watching this right now, if you made it this far, and if they didn't make it this far, ask somebody who makes videos. Do a review of this, and just, I'm curious. I want to hear some of these truthers talk about this. These so-called truthers. I don't hear shit about alien talk. I'm really curious. I do not hear enough people out there talking about the alien agenda and the new age agenda. I do not hear enough people talking about that with any kind of passion. They just think it's some side sort of thing. When you know it's on Netflix, you know Oprah's there. You know the government's doing it when they got channelers like Cryon speaking at the United Nations. You got these actors speaking at the United Nations for global warming and he for she shit and all this other, shit. Now, all this stuff directly related to the New Age community and the New Age mind control program. And these so-called truthers ain't said a fucking thing about it. Same thing goes for flat earthers who only talk about, like I said, this is not a judgment or anything. I just see it as something very, very important. And like I said, I don't have any attachments to what else anybody else does or doesn't do. But I am gonna say something. I'm gonna ask you about it. I meet any of these people in person, I'm like, hey, what you think about this? And then they'll realize a lot of the times, oh, I never even thought about that. But I've already asked them in many different ways with a lot of these videos that are out there, and still ain't shit come about. But, you know, that's neither here nor there. But if I just would like to see more information about this, because this is a weapon. I want to emphasize this as a weapon. And if you don't think that a documentary like Sirius and Unacknowledged and all those other alien conspiracies, Area 51, even the movies like The Signal and all the other Area 51 movies that are out there, if you don't see that as part of the next agenda, I don't know what else to say. I mean, this one came out in 2017. That's 2 years after the mainstream modern flat earth shit popped off. 2 years. 2 years after the majority of people on YouTube started talking about flat earth. They came out with this alien agenda ass disclosure sort of documentary, and you don't think that it's going to be part of the government? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. And you claim to be a truther, get busy. Get busy on this shit. You got assholes like Michio Kaku talking about our true place is among the stars, and he closes out that documentary with that. What the fuck is this? And then another thing that's on there. As soon as that documentary was off, what do you think the next documentary was? This Mars Generation documentary, and I've shared information on this, but this is focused towards the kids. This whole let's go to Mars bullshit. Making space cool again. That's basically what this is. And then the movies do the same thing. They got another movie coming out talking about how NASA supposedly went to the moon and all this other bullshit. But since people are really, you know, on the nuts of technology and on the nuts of modern civilization, yeah, it's hard for people to let this shit go. But if you claim to be a truther, get your ass to work. Because these assholes are in here talking some game. Talking about good aliens and bad aliens, and that's just going to fix everything. And then they're integrating this whole like resources, like, oh, let's trade with the aliens, or let's get resources down, and the aliens are scared of us because human nature is destructive. Nah, they'll go visit. Like, let's just say the benefit of the benefit of the doubt, the whole alien shit. This whole we shit. It ain't got nothing to do with civilizations living in the jungle, in the Amazon. Are they not human? According to the Columbian era and the university system, they're not. Like literally they are, but like interactively, they see them as primitive and savage beasts. They actually wrote it down in a lot of this, you know, in your own constitution. 3/5 of a human. You're not even human if you were black in the Americas. So-called black. So what are we really protecting here? What are we really talking about here? So, yeah. This whole agriculture, like as soon as we get alien technology, this is another part of the Unacknowledged documentary. They talk about like technology a lot because they want technology from aliens. So the technology of the aliens is going to be used for what? Resources, agriculture, feeding people all over the world. And as soon as the New Age Alien Agenda Disclosure Project comes into being, and meanwhile you have to do it, everything will be okay because technology will be used to feed people in Africa. It will be used. They won't talk shit. They won't say shit about how people that are impoverished got there in the first place. Why? Because that will challenge their system. No, they got to give you some McDonald's toys. They got to tell you as soon as we get disclosure from the alien agenda, we're going to make all this technology and get people fed all over the world who are with technology and send people to Mars. And it's on Netflix. Netflix is the new public education system. I'll say that again. It's worth saying it again. Netflix is the new public education system. Go look for yourself. Some days we used to watch a movie. Remember when they used to wheel the TV in there and like, oh shit, it's a day off, or you had a substitute or something? Some days you can watch a movie. Well, then when you're growing up, you working all the time, so you always watching movies. But you got to learn sometimes too. So what do? Neil deGrasse Tyson, The Cosmos, Stephen Greer, Unacknowledged, Zeitgeist, Sirius, Bigfoot shows and ghost shows and all the space movies you can think of. They got a whole genre for space shit out there. It's the new one. So, let me speed this up because I don't want to hear this at normal speed. And oh well, if you have a problem with it. But they go slow anyway. They talk slow for people who listen slow. So I'm going to just kind of go through it. I might just talk in the background because I think people can hear me in the background and it keeps me from going off real hard if I pause it. I'll try to keep it real short, but and this is kind of a shorter video, but you'll see. This is just this one. This one is a really good perspective of ad hominem. So like, since Joe Rogan plays dumb all the time, like how hard is to look at some of the stuff that, like, you'll say is in here, he doesn't know about it. How hard is it? He's one of the biggest voices out there counter to flat earth right now, and he's not going to educate himself on his situation. So he must be doing it on purpose, right? Well, you'll see how obvious if that sounds too hard to believe, then you can see that if that's too hard to believe, then you know that the only response that they can have now that they know that they're in a position that's fucked up is to attack your person. So this is why so-called flat earthers get hit with these ad hominem attacks, and they never focus on the actual information or the actual situation. Then nothing really gets dealt with. Because you're too busy dealing with childlike mentalities like Joe Rogan's just like, all these flat earthers out here. Come on, guys, a boat goes over the... Sit your simple ass down. Sit the fuck down with your boat going over the horizon shit. And all this, whatever. So you can hear right now, they just sitting there, they're drinking beer, just like a regular dude, drinking beer, smoking weed with his friends. It's all part of the same agenda. It's like he's going to be a part of that when, weed gets legalized and like they think everything is changing because we're thinking about aliens and new age shit and weed is legal now. Meanwhile, what's going to happen? The people who have fucking, they're not even going to talk about the history of what's leading up to now because they're too busy talking about what's going to happen in the future.
How wild would that be? Make your way across the unknown. No one knew what the fuck was out there.
What the fuck?
So he was talking about
walk across the United States.
I mean, that's almost as saying.
He was talking about Lois and Clark in there, and from like a positive perspective, like it was like recon for the fucking government. Like that was like, oh yeah, they fucking did it. Never mind.
The same era I wanted to go when Columbus was trying to let's just sail across this flat Earth.
Yeah.
They knew
it wasn't flat.
And now we're back to flat.
Yeah. Some people.
We discovered it wasn't flat, and now we're back to flat. And I have this argument with people. I said while doing the pilot school that I'm in, like you have to keep adjusting for the curvature of the Earth.
No, it's not real.
It's not real.
No, the world's flat as fuck. It's flat like that TV. It's just a lack of education. It's an interesting thing too because it shows you how distracted people.
You see how he says it's just a lack of education, guys, because the public education system and the university system, that's real education. And for people who are challenging the education system, you are just a big dumbhead because you have a lack of education. Just believe what we tell you. Well, obviously, he knows what he's doing. So this is just an ad hominem attack. I'm not even going to have to go in on that too much because people already know what ad hominem is, and it's obvious as hell with this meathead.
But they want to argue about something that's already been figured out.
And the videos and the literature that people come up with for these is insane. Like if you Google flat Earth, by the time it's done, you're like, God damn it might be flat.
And they're gonna put this in a video. Cowboy realizes the Earth is flat.
He had a lot of good points there. Shit.
Yeah, he's not sitting across from Neil deGrasse Tyson, because if he was, Neil deGrasse Tyson would be like, hold on, that's not how it works.
Whoa, see, that's what they have to do. They say if he was sitting across Neil deGrasse Tyson, he would totally be debunked. But these coward-ass motherfuckers are never going to do that. They won't talk to the worst person that talks about flat Earth. Why? Because as soon as they're presented with that, they say, oh, I'm too smart for that. Don't insult my intelligence. Don't insult my degrees. I am an astrophysicist. I've written books. I am a top 10 seller of my book, like on and on and on and on and on. And then so they never do it because of that. And then when they don't do it, then he says, then assholes like cucks like this, like Joe Rogan, get out here and talk about, yeah, if any of those flat earthers were talking about this stuff across from Neil deGrasse Tyson, Neil deGrasse Tyson would just get in their face and be like, no, with facts, and then they would lose. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson, wipe that fucking saliva off of your mouth from sucking on his dick.
That's wrong. Hold on. This is why we know that's incorrect.
See, I don't have the knowledge to be able to check people like that.
You do know you have to constantly readjust for the curvature of the Earth.
Yeah, I know that. But
so when
you gotta readjust for his nuts in your mouth.
And then the rest of it, they're like, and then I'm like,
the crazy one's the water.
Yeah,
they're like, water. Water doesn't stay on a curve. Yes, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it does. It does.
Gravity.
It's called the oceans.
Yeah.
And if gravity's not real, where the fuck?
There's no science to that. Yes, it does is not science. Saying yes, it does because oceans does not talk, it doesn't address what people are really saying when they say water doesn't stick to a curve. But simple-minded ass people will jump on his bandwagon because most people are followers. So they'll say, yeah, right, oceans, right? Is that science though? Of course not. It's just musclehead ad hominem.
I think waves come from, bitch.
Dude, and what do they say? There's a glacier all around holding
waves
a 700-foot wall.
Where do you think waves come from, bitch? Is that science? Like, what the fuck?
Wall around the outside edge, and then the government protects the ice wall.
Why?
See it.
Why would they? Why? Okay, this is just me. I'm nobody. I'm just Joe Blow reading an article. Why would NASA and the government spend millions, billions, trillions, right, to protect the fact that it's around Earth when it's flat? To me, I would.
Two Joe Blows just talking shit, man. We're regular ass people.
Say, oh, we live on a flat Earth.
This is where it gets even stupider, because
like, how would it affect my day to day?
They're trying to protect us from the truth, or shield the truth from us, that we live in an incredible special environment. We live in the firmament that's protected by a dome. And that the creator is real, and that all the elite powers want to keep this information from you. It's basically people that don't have an education, that are failures, that use all their energy misplaced to make.
Look how weak that was. It's basically people with no education. This is supposed to be a slight against people who don't believe everything that they hear from the government and the university system. He said basically is people with no education. What do you say? They're dumb or some shit like that? I don't want to go.
Videos that don't make any sense. They figured it out.
They make sense. They make sense to me.
What did he say?
That are failures, that use all their energy misplaced to make.
They don't have an education and they're failure. Why the fuck are they failures? Like, why are people who don't think like you failures? Straight up ad hominem.
These videos that don't make any sense. They figured it out.
They make sense. They make sense to me. I'm the dummy that watches like.
Well, it's because anyone making a video where no one's interrupting you, no one's telling you you're incorrect. Right. You're allowed to just continue saying bullshit things over and over and over again, unchecked. And so if you listen to this, and they use big words, and they sound smooth, they have
big words, degrees behind them and charts.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
you're not supposed to use big words. Come on, what are you talking? And what are big words to a musclehead ass like this dude? Big words, like, what the hell is going on?
Clearly the picture shows
they definitely don't have degrees. There ain't nobody with a degree out there that's telling you there's an ice wall.
I don't know, man. You can get some pretty shoddy degrees lately.
Well, there was an article recently about schizophrenia, and I think anybody that thinks it's really an ice wall and they have a degree, they should probably go to a doctor. They're probably on some sort of medication, and something's wrong. There's some sort of the levels are off. If you really think there's an ice.
So now, this is very, very important. This is challenging your mental state. And the establishment is all about that. What do you think? What happens when a black person, a so-called black person, kills somebody? They're a thug. They're a gangster. What happens when somebody from like an Arabic background says, oh, well, does something? Oh, well, they're a terrorist. Well, what happens when a white male does something horrible? Well, they have a mental illness. This is the mentality that these people believe is education. They call us failures for addressing this kind of stuff. And when they get presented with something that challenges their world, now they're using the same defense against you. In order to be soft, they're going to start out by saying that something's mentally wrong with you. Well, in their world, it's true. You're mentally unstable in their mentally unstable world. When you start to stabilize your mentality, when you start to stabilize your spirituality, when you start to stabilize your physicality, you start to become mentally, physically, and spiritually unstable in their world. So they're telling the truth. In their belief system, in their consciousness, something is wrong with you, and they're right. Because in order to live in their world, you got to be fucked up.
All around a plate, the Earth's shaped like a plate.
So are they just pumping? They're just pumping oxygen in, or our natural habitat creates it? Do they believe that?
That's a good question. They don't believe in gravity, so I don't know what they believe in. They think.
And what happens when we send rockets into? It hits the dome.
Those are all fake, bro. Rockets are fake. Satellites are fake. You know what else is fake?
Ad hominem.
Dinosaurs.
No,
they don't believe in dinosaurs.
But you want to know what's really funny?
Show me, Jimmy?
We just saw the mummy from the volcanic.
Yeah.
Right? Is he fake? He's real.
It might be fake.
He's real.
That's a real. Looked at a picture on Google.
The internet is real. If it's on the internet, it's real.
The dude who got hit in the head with the rock is real as fuck.
Real as fuck. So the dinosaur that got hit by a rock, he's fake.
Could be. I wasn't there.
Neither was
65 million years ago is a long time.
Yeah, especially when the Earth's only 6,000 years old.
They have one thing on their side, and this is the one thing on their side. This is one of the reasons why they make this argument. It's because when dinosaur bones were first discovered, when they were first discovered, there was a whole race to find dinosaur bones, and there was a lot of fuckery. There was a bunch of people that were faking things and piecing things together that didn't work, and hiding bones and saying they found them. They were just trying to make a name for themselves. But that's just greedy human nature in the face of an actual real discovery that's very valuable. And that discovery was that they're...
There you go. So he's not going to focus on the fact that they totally deceived the world with this dinosaur shit. He's going to chalk it all up to humans are just greedy. No, you motherfuckers that believe and think like this, it's you assholes that are greedy. And it's people who created, they totally didn't even address the depths of why that's so fucked up to even do that. Especially with something as serious as like belief in dinosaurs and that whole thing. So, but you heard how quickly he said that. He said that whole greed is human nature sort of thing. When you go into indigenous cultures, they didn't even have a word for, like the Australian Aborigines didn't even have words for please and thank you, because sharing was a part of their human nature. Whereas greed and destruction and genocide and control is a part of your human nature. So in their world, we are unstable. And for the people who have found their stability outside of their world, you have to acknowledge that these individuals who are protecting this system are still going to continue to sell that mentality of humanity being destructive, disgusting, greedy, genocidal maniacs. And these musclehead piece of shit ass people like Joe Rogan are the ones who emphasize that real quick. You see how I almost missed it. Mostly because it was moving so quick, but he said, oh, it's human nature. It's just greedy assholes who do that. No, we're talking about a belief in fucking dinosaurs. A whole belief in dinosaurs. And he's not going to look into how that might possibly be totally made up Just because what? Why? Because they're all in the museums. Stuff is in the, like, plastic bones are in the museums, and then they tell you they have real bones behind the doors, and it's taught in schools, and it's believed by the university system. That's it? You're not gonna go any further than that? Well, he's not. And he's gonna say that you're ignorant and something's wrong with you for doing that, for going further than he goes. If you go further than he goes, then that's when you start to become unstable in his world. And then you will be cast out as an outsider when they label you as mentally unstable because you do not agree with the same mentalities that people like him agree with in reference to stuff like their definitions of human nature. See, he's given way worse, definitions. It's real quick, and those are the most important little gems I like to pause on and recognize, because they're gems to people like me who put a shine of light on that so people can see it. But for them, they're like, those are heavy duty lead weights that just get thrown into people when they say, oh yeah, well, it's human nature to be greedy. It's human nature to be a piece of shit. Well, it's pieces of shit like Joe Rogan who are continually allowing that cheap ass definition of humanity, that destructive ass definition of humanity to continue to grow. And that's why I make these videos, because that is one of the most dangerous things that's happening out there, and people fall for it every day.
Dinosaurs, that there was a gigantic breed of lizards that roamed the earth millions of years ago.
Yeah, and so and all that's just propaganda. So you're saying in Colorado, on the side of the mountain by Red Rocks, they have a whole closed off section where they're just
doing excavations.
Yeah, and huge giant feet print in the rock that you can go up and touch. Probably 4 or 5 different species of badass lizards.
My friend John, he knows a dude who owns a ranch in Montana, and they found a T-Rex on this guy's ranch. They pulled a T-Rex out of this guy's ranch. They found it in the ground.
I gotta pause it right there, because that's another one that I don't spend enough time on. Badass lizards, it's like the whole Mars connection, like making space cool for kids. It's the same thing with dinosaurs. They're talking to kids. They're talking to your child mind. Badass lizards. Come on now. Who gives a fuck? How the fuck do you know if they're badass? Who cares? Like, were they badass because you liked the Jurassic Park movie or something? Or because they got big teeth or like scary, whatever it is. These are 8-year-old boys talking shit to people. And telling people that that's the truth. Get the fuck out of here.
And they gave him a fuckload of money for it. It was like, if they find some sort of discovery like that, that's worth $1 million. It
has to be.
Yeah, it has to be.
But that's fake? He buried that?
No, it's real as fuck.
That's what I'm saying.
They found this one thing that was poking up, and he brought in these archaeologists.
That's the only thing you need to know. It's real as fuck. That's a good quote. That'd be a good meme to make. It's real as fuck. Quote, Joe Rogan. That's it. That's as far as you need to go.
What would they be?
Dude, I would sell all but a tooth. You're telling me you wouldn't have a T-Rex tooth hanging on a necklace?
Fuck yeah, keep one tooth. One tooth is the person who searches for dinosaur bones.
Like, you have a bear tooth hanging, I have a fucking T-Rex tooth.
Is it an archaeologist? Right, but I was thinking archaeology being human history.
No, archaeology is what your wife does.
Paleontology?
That's what they do, because they're always digging up old shit.
Oh, wasn't that funny?
Oh, that's so true.
Yes, so true. They come at you with shit from years ago, like, come on.
That wasn't that funny joke.
Paleontologist. Yeah. So they called in a paleontologist. The paleontologist started cleaning off whatever this was, and then he's like, "Holy fuck!" He's like, "This is a goddamn T-Rex." And apparently, it's like a lot of it. Sometimes it's like you only found a couple of bones. Yeah. They found a lot of shit. I would like to see that, man.
He says that. He says a lot of shit. You know why? Because he knows, just like we know, that the other side of they find a lot of shit in bones, he's talking about bones. The other side of that is they have never found a full dinosaur. They claim to be a dinosaur, a full fossil ever, a fully developed anything. They've never done that. And he knows that. And he's thinking that in his head right now. And he's trying to figure out a way to say it, if he should say it. And he knows that he shouldn't say it because it'll leave too many openings in his argument. So he's not going to say anything. So he just lets it be out there. But the other side to what he said, which was just this musclehead bullshit response of they find a lot of shit, like you said earlier about it's real as fuck. That's the science. That's Joe Rogan science. Somebody would make a meme for that shit. They find a lot of shit for dinosaurs, and it's real as fuck. That's science right there.
If I could go back one of them Jurassic Park,
so now we're going back.
I'd like to see that too.
Now we're going all the way back. Yeah, that's Colorado right there.
That is fucking insane.
Insane. So what the fuck?
That is insane. Yeah.
Do you know how much time that would take to falsify that? Like to go in there with.
But is that proof of dinosaurs though? And is that addressing all of the information that people who are saying that dinosaurs quite possibly might have been made up? No, it's not. But since they have their own platform, since they have their own power grid, they're just going to ad hominem attack people who think differently over and over and over again, and then drop little pieces like this little image right here and just say, oh, well, that's real as fuck. How could that be fake? Or say other stuff like you're mentally unstable or something's wrong with you because you don't believe in this stuff. Like, this does not address the whole issue of where people are saying dinosaurs aren't real. Not at all. It didn't even scratch the surface.
All right, so you got to brainwash 5 people and tell them what we're going to do is we're going to go chip this rock out because we got to fucking fake a bunch of people.
Have you seen this in person?
Yeah, I've been there. Walked all you crawl all over it.
You can walk on it?
Walk on it. Well, see that little gate right there? If you back out a little bit,
yeah.
That little gate. But that's just a little gate.
There it is right there. The little girl.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
I mean, that's right there in Colorado.
Wow.
Right by Red Rocks, yeah, exactly. It's right there.
It's hard to book a gig in Red Rocks, man. They're booked up to like 2021, 22.
You can do a live show.
I was trying to do a gig in Red Rocks.
Fucking epic.
I was trying, but I can only get like Tuesday nights.
Hey,
Tuesday
man.
nights up until like.
You know what Tuesday night's better than? You know what Tuesday?
I think that's
it. So the people don't believe the Earth is they believe the Earth is flat, not round. They don't believe in dinosaurs. They don't believe in nuclear weapons either.
Wow.
That's the other one. Nuclear weapons are a hoax.
Hoax.
Yeah, only a few people don't believe Australia's a hoax, and a lot of people say that's disinformation. Discredit the flat Earth movement.
They were saying their planes fly upside down and shit, and that's all upside down.
Where are the Australians coming from? Because Kyle Noakes in Australia right now. I could probably call him.
He's probably a government agent, bro. You should be careful.
Shit.
Any phone call you make to him, it's just going straight to the Illuminati.
You know, damn. I'll call Kyle. Are you in Australia? Yeah, bro.
Yeah, you gotta be real careful. Yeah. How about Lewis?
All ad hominem, all of it, all just like 4th grade, 6th grade at best, childlike attacks on information that has been. Like he said, people use big words to talk about this stuff, and his response is cheap ad hominem attacks to, people who spend a lot of time researching this information. So he's already confirmed, like, in my eyes, he's always been in that 99th percentile of being knowingly aware of this bullshit. Like he's playing his role. So, I'll continue to just, break this down over and over and over again because he'll keep doing it. And it's not so much about him. It's just using him as an example of how the system does this to it. He's just like a little pimple on the body of the establishment. He's part of it. He's just like a piece of, eventually he's going to burst and he's going to have to do something in that situation. But he still gets his kicks and his kickbacks from being a part of that establishment body. But he's just a little pissant. He's just a little extra. He's by no means deep into it. He's obviously maintaining the shallow layer of muck and garbage and bullshit. Does that mean he's not effective? Does that mean we shouldn't focus on how he's attacking our brothers and sisters? Of course not. We have to see all of we have to approach, in my eyes, realizing that this is a warfare. We have to see all of these enemies equal to us. A private, the lowest ranking private, can go and take out the king. And just psychologically or spiritually, not even physically, not talking about physical warfare, but an individual can go, and then that won't be the end of the war either. So that's the whole point. You have to face every single aspect, every single soldier, every single warrior matters. And this is why I focus on this individual, because not so much of him as an individual, but because of what he represents. He represents a team of warriors who are against us, like the people who are outside of this bullshit system, in at least energetically. So he not only represents them, but he also talks to them directly. This is why it's so important to focus your energy on something or someone like that, because you see, and hopefully some people see that, other people might not, but oh well, it'll come around sometime soon. But hopefully this keeps expanding for people who might not have seen it before. But if not, oh well, shit, fuck it. On to the next breakdown, because this is it's all over the place. But I just wanted to emphasize that and share these boxes, this example, really share that unacknowledged documentary with people, because like I said, I just found out about that last night. I didn't know it existed. It'd been in there for a year, and I don't spend too much time on Netflix. So I hadn't seen it, and maybe it was just put on Netflix, but it was just made about a year ago, and this was, like I said, it's very important, like to see people making flat Earth videos right now, or at least talking about it. Your enemy is not only the people who believe in the globe. Your enemies are also the people who believe in the solar system, who believe in heliocentrism. Not only do they believe in it so much, but they are actually developing new mind control programs based upon that fictional universe. So the people that are against actual critical thought and really breaking this stuff down is not limited to just the flat versus the globe. You have to step out. I mean, and then by this time, people who are talking about flat Earth videos now, they're already repeating themselves over and over and over again. So it should be easy for some of the people who are making flat Earth videos to transition into realizing that the new age alien agenda is not only as important to focus on and destroy and like whoop the shit out of it, like break it down, but it's actually more important than flat versus globe, because it's easy for people to realize that that the Earth is not a globe. Like once the establishment says it's not a globe, then boom, that's done. They can spend one day saying that, and then what are they going to do now? They're just going to move into the next thing, and then people are just going to follow them. So you're really focusing on your energy. If you're just talking about flat versus globe, you're really just focusing on your energy on 1, 2, maybe 3 days of establishment work that they could do. Just think of it. If they focused at most 3 days, solid days of a flat versus globe debate, or, you know, just like information one for the other, 3 days, and then what comes out in the end? Obviously the truth is going to come out. Now you have everybody believing the Earth is flat. Now what? Where's your power now? It's gone. It's in their hands. Okay, so now what's the next step? Well, they're going to try to unify you around a creator. They're going to unify you around a new religion. They're going to unify you around the alien agenda, because you know that even if they put a flat Earth out there, they're going to try to sneak the aliens in there. You think they're just going to put all that work into the alien agenda and just kick it to the curb? Hell no. They'll stick them aliens in this flat Earth quicker than you could say, what the fuck? And then you won't know what to do next. Why? Because you spent all your damn time priding yourself in realizing that it was not a globe and not going further into what the next agenda is. That's what I'm saying is very dangerous right now. And we have to challenge ourselves to go beyond that space. If we do not, you ain't got nobody else to blame but yourself when the same shit happens that happened to the people before us, because we were too naive to go any further than what was comfortable for our own fucking egos. On that note, thank you for joining me. Thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.